Brett King is the prolific author of 6 books, the founder of payment app Moven, and via his Breaking Banks podcast, has been talking about the disruption of money since well before the crypto boom. As his latest book demonstrates, the breadth of his interests and understanding of the digital transformation of society now extends far beyond money.
I'm also just curious, just in general, your thoughts on digital public goods. So right now we talk a lot about externalities. If anybody who takes Economics 101, you talk a lot about externalities and how they're not embedded into, costs, and they don't show up in P&Ls and all that kind of thing. There are new models that are more universal and more holistic, like the kind you're talking about, that really bake in some of those costs, whether they're planetary costs, sustainability, other kinds of things, workforce, all these things into the calculations or into the modeling. Those are not necessarily super commonplace because they're not rewarded, I think, by our current economic systems. But there's also this kind of concept of what is the role of something extrinsic to our economy? Like, what is the role of something like a government to provide the infrastructure, whether that's digital or otherwise? And how do you think about that? And then Patrick would love to hear about how the systems that you're thinking about as the foundation for transparent, are engaging with these kinds of questions.
If you look at things like our response to climate change, so building climate resilience into infrastructure and things like that, there's obviously going to be a ton of effort required. We're going to build seawall defenses around New York and Miami, for example. The costs of that become almost meaningless in respect to ensuring the survival of those cities as economic centers. But I think this sort of gets back to what are the levers we have in capitalism today? Today, we focus mainly on competition and the way that competition is reflected in the economy at an individual level for salaries, at a corporation level for returns and investment, and at a market level, nation against nation. We should be thinking about how we compete for humanity as a species. I think that's sort of the philosophical change here, is that humanity is at our best. We've made the greatest technological advancements when we have high levels of collaboration. The vaccine production for COVID is an example of that. So is the Apollo program, the Human Genome Project. You could even say, during the Second World War on both sides, where we had massive technological advancements. Humanity is at our best when we have incentives to work together. And these divisions that we create economically actually are suboptimal. That's our argument in the book.